My name is Alara Whitford, 29 years old. 3 days prior, my relatives contacted me with instructions to skip the New Year's celebration. Your presence will only create awkwardness, my mother stated, her tone polished and decisive, as though she were turning down a corporate proposal. Consequently, I spent December 31st in solitude within my compact apartment in Brookline, observing unknown faces rejoicing through my window pane, while my relatives raised champagne glasses in their Darien estate, without me. At precisely 12:01 a.m., my device buzzed. My brother Gideon. His voice trembled. "Alara, what have you done? Father just caught the headlines and he's struggling to breathe. Mother is hysterical. What on earth have you done?" The headlines he referenced. My venture, Synapse Arc, Inc., had just launched on the stock market at midnight with a valuation of $2.1 billion, positioning me among the youngest female technology billionaires in the nation. Yet the fortune wasn't the revelation. It was the information I disclosed in the Fortune interview that went live at that precise instant. 36 months of correspondence, intellectual property filings, and audio evidence demonstrating my brother's attempts to appropriate my innovations. Before I reveal what transpired that evening, please consider hitting the like button and subscribing, but only if this narrative genuinely resonates with you. And if you're viewing this, leave a comment sharing your location and current time. I'm curious to know who's paying attention. Let me transport you back 36 months when this entire situation originated. The Whitford clan wasn't merely affluent. We represented generational wealth from Darien, Connecticut, the variety that accompanied a 4-decade-old biomedical equipment corporation, a residence with genuine pillars, and the presumption that you'd identify the proper utensil at philanthropic events before reaching double digits. My brother Gideon was cultivated for everything. 5 years my senior, effortlessly magnetic, the sort of individual who could enter any space and make everyone feel significant. He donned Brioni suits like casual wear. He played tennis with financiers. He embodied everything our parents desired in a successor. I was distinct. I preferred algorithms over cocktail gatherings. I gained admission to Caltech for computational sciences. And while my parents posed for the acceptance photographs, I overheard my mother inform an acquaintance. "It's a temporary interest. She'll mature and pursue something more conventional." When I completed my studies, first in my cohort with research concentration on artificial intelligence medical analysis, my relatives skipped the ceremony. They were at Gideon's polo match, a charitable function, my mother clarified. "Gideon requires our presence for professional connections, darling. You comprehend?" I comprehended. I comprehended when I relocated into a cramped studio in Brookline with 2 housemates, while Gideon received the luxury apartment in Beacon Hill. I comprehended when family gatherings transformed into tactical discussions where they analyzed Whitford Enterprises' quarterly figures, and I sat wordlessly rearranging food on a porcelain plate. I comprehended when my father presented Gideon to corporate associates as the company's tomorrow, and presented me as our daughter who tinkers with machines. But here's what I discovered early. In my household, brilliance held less worth than charisma. Creativity held less worth than convention, and I held less worth than Gideon. I simply didn't grasp how much less until 36 months ago. In March 2022, I was developing something substantial. Not merely fascinating research, transformative research. My 2 partners from Caltech and I had engineered an algorithm capable of examining diagnostic imaging data with greater speed and precision than any current system. Preliminary identification for conditions that typically claimed lives before physicians even recognized the indicators. We dubbed it Synapse Arc because it connected neural pathways in methods nobody had achieved previously. We were weeks from trial testing. Investor conferences were arranged. Everything was aligning perfectly. Then, my mother phoned. "Alara, we must discuss Gideon." Her voice carried that sharpness, the one indicating this wasn't optional. "Whitford Enterprises is navigating a challenging quarter. Your brother faces tremendous pressure. As family, you must assist." I clarified that I was amid crucial development, that my venture was at a delicate phase. "Venture?" She pronounced the term as if it left a bitter taste. Alara, ventures are for individuals with nothing at stake. You possess a heritage. You have a family enterprise that's existed for 40 years. Gideon requires assistance, and you're occupying that tiny space toying with machines. The suggestion was transparent. My endeavors were recreational. Gideon's were substantial. But I'd acquired knowledge at Caltech that my mother never grasped. Safeguard your innovations before someone else appropriates them. So prior to consenting to anything, I consulted with Bennett Cole, an attorney specializing in intellectual property defense for technology startups. We sat in Flower Cafe in Brookline. My computer opened between us, and he guided me through the documentation. If anyone attempts to appropriate your innovations, Bennett explained, sliding the patent application across the surface, will possess a documentation trail that even premier attorneys cannot penetrate. I submitted the patent on March 15, 2022. Every code sequence, every algorithm variation, time-stamped and legally mine. I didn't intend to utilize it. I merely wanted protection. I consented to advise for Gideon. Family duty, my mother labeled it. I drove to the Whitford Enterprises headquarters in Norwalk, a glass structure with our family name in brushed metallic letters above the entrance. Gideon's office occupied the top level, corner perspective, walls adorned with framed accolades and an antique sepia photograph of our grandfather. Alara. He embraced me as though we were close. We weren't. Grateful you came. This signifies everything. I explained fundamental concepts about incorporating artificial intelligence into diagnostic equipment, not the essential algorithm. I wasn't naive, but sufficient to demonstrate the possibilities. He documented notes on a yellow notepad, nodding with enthusiasm. This is precisely what we require, he declared. Investors will be thrilled. 14 days later, he invited me to a presentation meeting with a venture capital firm from Hartford. I sat at the rear of the conference room, mahogany table, leather seating, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the harbor, while Gideon presented my concepts, my research, my methodology. Whitford Enterprises is pioneering the integration of machine learning into medical device manufacturing, he announced, navigating through a slide presentation I'd never witnessed before. We're positioned to transform early diagnostics. One of the investors glanced toward me. And you are? Gideon didn't hesitate. That's my sister Alara. She's been assisting with some of the technical research. Assisting, as though I were his subordinate. Following the meeting, Gideon handed me a document. Simply a standard confidentiality agreement, he stated, to protect the family enterprise. You understand? I examined it. Non-disclosure agreement covering all proprietary information related to Whitford Enterprises. This protects me as well, correct? I inquired. Certainly, he smiled. We're family, Alara. We protect one another. I signed it, because I still believed family carried significance. Thanksgiving 2023. The dining area at my parents' residence resembled a publication spread. Extended table arranged with my grandmother's fine china, crystal wine glasses capturing the chandelier illumination, arrangements of ivory roses and eucalyptus down the center. 12 guests, business associates, family acquaintances, a couple who'd recently endowed a section at Darien Hospital. My mother positioned me at the distant end beside my father's golf companion's spouse, who spent the entire appetizer portion discussing her yoga instructor. When the main course arrived, turkey on a silver platter, accompaniments in matching serving vessels, my mother rose to make introductions. Most of you recognize my son Gideon, she beamed. Chief Executive of Whitford Enterprises. We're immensely proud of his accomplishments. He's recently finalized a partnership with a major healthcare network. Applause. Gideon raised his wine glass. Modest smile positioned. And this is our daughter, Alara. My mother's voice shifted, still pleasant but cooler. Alara works in technology. She's quite intelligent, though she's not particularly sociable. Several polite smiles. One of the guests, a silver-haired gentleman in a navy blazer, leaned forward. Technology? What variety? I opened my mouth to respond, but Gideon interjected. Alara is still determining her direction, he remarked, chuckling softly. She's exceptionally gifted with computers. But but you understand? He made an ambiguous gesture. Not exceptional with people. The table laughed, courteous, dismissive laughter. I felt my face flush. I stared at my plate at the perfectly carved turkey I suddenly couldn't consume. After dinner, my mother pulled me into the kitchen. Ilara, I understand you don't intend to, but you create discomfort. You barely uttered a word in there. Could you attempt to be more engaging? I didn't receive an opportunity to, sweetheart. I'm not criticizing. I'm assisting. People appreciate warmth. They appreciate vitality. You're so. She sighed. Heavy. I departed before dessert. In June 2024, Gideon summoned me to his office. Emergency conference, he stated. I drove down on a Tuesday morning. His assistant waved me through. She'd encountered me sufficient times to recognize me now. Gideon was positioned at the window, hands in his pockets, gazing out at the water. He turned when I entered, and his expression was altered. Tense. We require the complete algorithm, Ilara. I blinked. Pardon? The artificial intelligence diagnostic tool, the one you've been developing. We require it for Whitford Enterprises. Investors are retreating, and we require a breakthrough. This could rescue the company. Gideon, that's not Whitford Enterprises' work. That's my startup. Your startup? He laughed, but there was no humor in it. Ilara, you've been consulting for us. You signed a confidentiality agreement. Everything you've developed in relation to our business belongs to the corporation. That's not how confidentiality agreements function. Don't instruct me how they function. His voice hardened. I'm attempting to preserve our family's heritage. Don't you care about that? Before I could respond, the door opened. My mother entered, heels clicking on the hardwood. She must have been waiting. Ilara. She seated herself in one of Gideon's leather chairs, crossed her legs. Your brother is correct. You signed an agreement. You have a legal obligation. The confidentiality agreement covers Whitford Enterprises' proprietary information, I stated slowly. It doesn't encompass my personal projects. Personal projects that you developed while consulting for us, Gideon countered. That's a conflict of interest. My mother's expression was glacial. Ilara, don't transform this into a legal matter. Family doesn't litigate against family. Provide Gideon the algorithm, and we can all proceed forward. I looked between them. My brother, my mother, both of them staring at me as though I were the difficulty. No, I stated. Gideon's face reddened. Be careful, Ilara. You don't want to make this unpleasant. I departed, but not before I activated the voice recording function on my phone in my pocket. Massachusetts is a one-party consent jurisdiction. After that meeting, I ceased receiving invitations to family dinners. It wasn't theatrical. No one phoned to uninvite me. The weekly emails from my mother's assistant, dinner this Sunday, 6 p.m., simply stopped arriving. I observed Gideon's Instagram instead. Photographs of family gatherings I wasn't present for. Wonderful evening with the family, the caption read, displaying my parents, Gideon, and his girlfriend, even distant relatives I scarcely knew. I wasn't in any of them. My Caltech friends noticed. Everything all right with your family? My former roommate inquired over coffee. You haven't mentioned them in months. What was I supposed to express? That I'd been eliminated? That I was being punished for declining to surrender 3 years of my innovations? I attempted calling my father once. He answered on the 4th ring, sounded distracted. Father, what's happening? Why am I not being invited? Ilara, he sighed. Your mother and Gideon are under considerable stress currently. The company is struggling. Perhaps it's preferable if you provide everyone some space. Space from what? I haven't done anything. You declined to assist your brother after everything this family has provided you. Everything this family has provided me. I felt something fracture open in my chest. You didn't attend my Caltech graduation. You didn't inquire about my work once in 5 years. What precisely have you provided me? Silence. Then, I believe you should apologize to your mother and Gideon. When you're prepared to be part of this family again, inform us. He disconnected. I sat in my vehicle outside the campus observing students pass by with backpacks and coffee cups, and I recognized something. I'd been eliminated. Not by strangers, not by adversaries, by the individuals who were supposed to cherish me. On December 20th, 2024, my mother phoned. I nearly didn't answer. Ilara, no greeting. I wanted to inform you that Christmas this year is going to be family exclusively. I waited. The implications registered slowly. You're requesting me not to attend. I'm suggesting that it might be preferable for everyone if you didn't. Gideon is bringing some very significant clients. It's a crucial period for the company, and we require the atmosphere to be positive. And I'm not positive. You're angry, Ilara. We can all sense it. You create discomfort. My discomfort. I laughed, sharp and bitter. Mother, I haven't seen you in 6 months. How would you know what my demeanor is? I'm attempting to protect you, she stated. And she almost sounded as though she believed it. You'll be miserable here. You detest these gatherings anyway. Isn't it preferable to simply skip it this year? You're uninviting me from Christmas. I'm providing you an exit. Her voice hardened. Accept it gracefully, Ilara. I disconnected. I sat in my apartment studio, 500 square feet Brookline, and examined the small artificial Christmas tree I purchased from Target. Examined the lights strung across my window. Examined the empty space where family was supposed to exist. Then I opened my laptop. There was an email waiting from Fortune. Subject line, IPO feature request. Miss Whitford, we understand Synapse Arc, Inc. is preparing to go public in Q4 2024. We'd like to feature you in our 30 Under 30 Technology Innovators series and cover your company's IPO announcement. We're particularly interested in your journey as a female founder in artificial intelligence. Would you be available for an interview? I read it 3 times. Then I selected reply. Yes, and I have a narrative you're going to want to hear. December 28th. My mother phoned again. Ilara, regarding New Year's Eve, Gideon is hosting at the residence, investors, potential partners, some important individuals from Hartford Medical. It's essentially a business function. Okay. So I wanted to ensure we're clear. This isn't a family celebration. It's professional. You understand what I'm conveying? You don't want me there. I don't want anyone there who's going to create tension. Gideon is under enormous pressure. His entire career depends on these relationships. If you appeared and what said something, revealed the truth. She was quiet for a moment. When she spoke again, her voice was cold. Don't come, Ilara. For everyone's benefit, just stay away. Don't worry, I stated. I will. I disconnected. I stood in my kitchen, tiny, barely room for one person, and examined my calendar. December 31st, empty. No arrangements, no invitations, no relatives. I considered calling friends, but they all had arrangements. Parties, dinners, trips, normal individuals doing normal things with people who wanted them around. I opened my laptop instead. The Fortune interview was scheduled to go live at midnight on January 1st, 2025. The writer had spent 3 weeks verifying everything. Patent documents, email chains, the recording from Gideon's office, testimony from Dr. Vivian Shaw, my former Caltech professor, who'd observed me develop the algorithm from inception. Bennett Cole, my attorney, had reviewed every word. You're legally protected, he'd stated. The confidentiality agreement doesn't cover your personal intellectual property. Everything you're revealing is documented and accurate. They cannot touch you. The article was prepared. TechCrunch had a companion piece set to publish at 12:01 a.m. My company's IPO announcement was queued. All I had to do was let it proceed. I examined the clock. December 28th, 9:47 p.m. 3 days until my family's flawless New Year's Eve celebration. 3 days until the truth went public. I spoke one word aloud to my empty apartment. Good. December 31st, 2024. 11:00 p.m. I sat on my couch in darkness, my laptop open, Instagram displayed on my phone. Gideon's story. A video of the gathering. The mansion illuminated like a resort. White lights wrapped around every column. String quartet performing in the foyer. People in formal attire holding champagne flutes, laughing. My mother in a black designer gown, holding court. My father in a tuxedo, shaking hands with men in expensive timepieces. Gideon at the center of it all, confident and charismatic, toasting with someone I recognized from the business publications. A hospital executive, perhaps, or a major investor. No one noticed I wasn't there. No one inquired. I observed strangers through my window setting off fireworks in the park across the street. Couples kissing. Groups of friends counting down together. I was alone, not merely physically, existentially. I refreshed my email. The Fortune article was staged and prepared. Publication time. 12:08 a.m. Eastern, 6 minutes away. I opened the draft one more time, scrolling through the sections. Synapse Inc. goes public at $2.1 billion valuation. Founder Alara Whitford reveals family betrayal. Email evidence demonstrates brother attempted intellectual property theft. There were screenshots, timestamps, the recording from June, transcribed and verified. Dr. Shaw. I can confirm that Alara Whitford developed this algorithm independently during her graduate work and subsequent private research. Any claims to the contrary are factually inaccurate. Bennett Cole's legal analysis. The confidentiality agreement signed by Miss Whitford pertains only to Whitford Enterprises' existing proprietary information. It does not and cannot extend to her independent work. My cursor hovered over the browser tab on television. The countdown commenced. 10, 9, 8. I examined my phone. Gideon's Instagram story updated. Everyone raising their glasses. 3, 2, 1. Fireworks exploded outside my window. I selected refresh on Fortune. The article went live. 11:59 p.m. I counted the seconds. The Fortune homepage refreshed. My face appeared on the screen. Professional photograph, serious expression. Headline in bold. Synapse Inc. goes public at 2.1 B valuation. Founder reveals family betrayal. Below it, the TechCrunch notification reached my phone. Caltech graduate becomes youngest female AI billionaire and accuses brother of intellectual property theft. Twitter exploded. I observed the notifications accumulate. The hashtag on Synapse beginning to trend. The television displayed crowds in Times Square, confetti falling, people kissing and crying and celebrating. My phone was silent for exactly 60 seconds. Then it commenced. Text messages flooding in. Numbers I didn't recognize. Journalists, former colleagues, people from Caltech I hadn't spoken to in years. My inbox crashed and recovered. Email after email loading. Fortune writer. It's live. Prepare yourself. Bennett Cole. You're legally clear. Don't respond to anyone without consulting me first. Dr. Shaw. Alara, I'm so proud of you. Contact me if you need anything. I sat in the silence of my apartment, my hands trembling, and I thought about my family 2 hours away. Thought about the moment someone at that gathering would check their phone, would see the headline, would interrupt the champagne and the laughter to say, my phone rang. Gideon. 12:01 a.m. I stared at the screen, watching it vibrate against the coffee table. Then I answered. Hello, Gideon. Alara. His voice was trembling. Behind him, I could hear chaos. Raised voices, someone crying, the clink of glass. What did you do? Father just saw the headlines and he's not breathing properly. Mother is screaming. What the hell did you do? I kept my voice level, calm. I went public. Gideon, my company, my innovations. Your company? He was shouting now. You signed a confidentiality agreement. You can't just... This is defamation. This is... Mother. I'm speaking to her. His voice moved away from the phone, then returned. You put our private conversations in Fortune. You recorded us. I documented the truth. The truth? He laughed, wild and bitter. You published emails out of context. You made it appear as though I stole from you when all I did was attempt to assist the family business. Gideon. I closed my eyes. The patent was filed 4 months before your initial investor presentation. The timestamps don't deceive. Those are coincidences. People work on similar concepts all the time, not with identical frameworks, not with the exact terminology I used in my research notes. Behind him, I heard my mother's voice. Shrill. Is that her? Give me the phone. You've destroyed us, Gideon stated. His voice cracked. Investors are already calling. They're withdrawing. The board is... Do you understand what you've done? You've killed this company. You've killed our family. No, Gideon. You did that when you attempted to erase me. You called me your assistant. You told investors I was helping with research I created. You demanded I surrender my algorithm and threatened me when I declined. That's not assistance. That's theft. The confidentiality agreement doesn't cover my personal intellectual property. Consult your attorneys, or better yet, read the Fortune article. Bennett Cole explained it quite clearly. Silence. Then a click. He'd disconnected. My phone immediately rang again. My mother. I answered. But before I share that conversation, I need you to understand how I arrived here. 6 months earlier, July 2024, I was sitting in Tata Bakery near Caltech's Boston campus with Dr. Vivian Shaw, my former professor and thesis advisor. Vivian was in her 50s, sharp-eyed and direct, the variety of professor who didn't waste time on pleasantries. She'd won awards for her work in neural network architecture. When she requested to meet, I came. Your algorithm is exceptional, Ilara, she stated, stirring her coffee. I've reviewed the papers you sent. This is publishable, career-defining. Why are you sitting on it? I told her everything. The family pressure, the confidentiality agreement, Gideon's demands, the gradual erasure from family life. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she set down her cup. A confidentiality agreement cannot steal your intellectual property if you never gave it to them. She stated, You filed the patent under your name, correct? Yes. March 2022, before Gideon even inquired. Then you're protected. But Ilara, you need documentation, emails, recordings, anything that establishes timeline and ownership. If this escalates, you need evidence that speaks for itself. I have it, I stated quietly. I've been keeping records since the beginning. Good. She leaned forward. But here's what I need you to understand. Silence protects abusers. You think you're maintaining the peace. You're not. You're letting them write the narrative. But if you speak up, you'll face consequences. Absolutely. Your family will be furious. Some people won't understand, but you'll have your integrity. You'll have your work. And you'll demonstrate to every young woman in STEM that they don't have to vanish to make other people comfortable. She produced her laptop. I'm willing to go on record. If you decide to share your story, I'll verify every piece of your research. I'll testify to the timeline, the originality, everything. You do that, Ilara. Documentation protects you, but witnesses make it undeniable. I departed that meeting with a decision half made and a recorder full of truth. September 2024, Sand Hill Road, Menlo Park. My 2 co-founders and I sat across from a venture capital firm that specialized in healthcare technology. The office had floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Silicon Valley, modern furniture, a wall of startup logos they'd funded. The partner, mid-40s, Stanford MBA, sharp suit, leaned back in his chair. Synapse technology is solid. Your early trials are impressive. We're prepared to back your IPO. What's your timeline? I glanced at my co-founders. We'd discussed this. Q4 2024, I stated. Ideally around New Year. New Year. He frowned. That's unconventional. Markets are slow during holidays. Why not wait until February or March when institutional investors return? I chose my words carefully. There's a personal milestone I'd like the announcement to coincide with. A statement I need to make. A statement? He looked intrigued. Care to elaborate? Family issues, I stated. Intellectual property disputes. I want the IPO to go public at a specific moment when the truth needs to be revealed. My co-founder touched my arm. Warning, caution. But I continued. I want to include a personal statement in the IPO announcement about the origins of this technology, the challenges I faced protecting it, and why independent verification of ownership matters in the tech industry. The room went quiet. The partner exchanged looks with his colleagues. That's highly unusual. IPO announcements are typically focused on financials and growth projections. I understand, but if we're valuing this company at nearly $2 billion, the public deserves to know the complete story, including the attempts to steal it. Steal it? Now he sat forward. You're alleging intellectual property theft. I'm documenting it. I have patents, emails, recordings, expert witnesses, everything verified by legal counsel. If someone challenges my ownership, I can prove definitively that this work is mine. He studied me for an extended moment. Provide me the documentation, he stated finally. If it's as airtight as you claim, we'll structure the announcement however you desire. We shook hands. I was constructing a bomb. I merely needed the right moment to detonate it. November 2024. Video interview with Fortune. The journalist was professional, mid-30s, with a reputation for hard-hitting tech coverage. She'd spent 2 weeks fact-checking before we even spoke. Ilara, your company is about to go public with a valuation that will make you one of the youngest female billionaires in tech, but you've indicated you want to discuss something beyond the success narrative. Can you elaborate? I took a breath. 36 months ago, my brother, who is CEO of Whitford Enterprises, a medical device company, attempted to claim my algorithm as his company's intellectual property. I have documentation proving that I developed this technology independently, filed patents in my own name, and was subsequently pressured to surrender it. When I declined, I was effectively erased from my family. Those are serious allegations. She wasn't skeptical. She was careful. What evidence do you possess? I shared my screen. Patent filing from March 2022. Emails from Gideon requesting collaboration, then demanding the algorithm, then threatening legal action. The confidentiality agreement I'd signed, and Bennett Cole's legal analysis showing it, didn't cover my personal work. The recording from June 2024. Dr. Shaw's written statement. The journalist was silent, scrolling through documents. We'll need to verify all of this, she stated finally. Independent authentication, legal review, expert testimony. I've already arranged it. Bennett Cole will provide legal analysis. Dr. Shaw will confirm the research timeline. My co-founders can testify to the development process. And you're prepared for the fallout. This will be public. Your family will respond. It could get unpleasant. I thought about Christmas, about being uninvited, about sitting alone while they celebrated without me. I'm not seeking revenge, I stated quietly. I'm seeking recognition for my work, for every woman whose family tried to erase them. I've been silenced long enough. She nodded slowly. When do you want this published? January 1st, 2025. Midnight. The same moment my IPO goes public. That's bold. It's necessary. She closed her notebook. If everything checks out, we'll run it. But Ilara, be prepared. Once this is out, you cannot take it back. I know, I stated. That's the point. This is the portion where everything shifts. If you've made it this far, you're part of this journey. Drop a heart emoji in the comments if you've ever had to stand up for your own truth, even when it hurt. And don't forget to subscribe, because the next part is where the real confrontation happens. Let me return to New Year's Eve. My mother was calling. I answered. Hello, Mother. Ilara. Her voice was ice, controlled fury. What you've done is unforgivable. I documented the truth. You humiliated this family in front of the world. Do you understand what you've done? Gideon's investors are calling. They're pulling funding. The board is demanding emergency meetings. Your father is... He can't even speak right now. That's not my responsibility. Not your responsibility? Her voice cracked just slightly. You destroyed your brother's reputation. You made us look like monsters. You violated the confidentiality agreement. No, Mother. I didn't. The confidentiality agreement covers Whitford Enterprises' proprietary information. It doesn't cover my personal work. Bennett Cole made sure of that. We will sue you. We will take everything. You'll lose. I kept my voice steady. professional, and it'll be public. Every filing, every deposition, every piece of evidence will become part of the court record. Do you really want that? Silence. You've destroyed Gideon's career, she stated finally. Investors are departing. Business partners are severing ties. All because you decided to air family business to the entire world. No, Mother. Gideon destroyed his career when he attempted to steal my work. I just ensured people knew the truth. The truth? She laughed, bitter. The truth is you were always jealous of Gideon. You couldn't stand that he was successful, that he was respected, that people actually liked him. The truth, I interrupted, is that you've spent my entire life making me feel as though I didn't matter, as though my work wasn't real, as though I was an inconvenience. And when I finally built something that couldn't be ignored, you tried to take it away. You're delusional. I have timestamps, Mother. Patents, emails, recordings. The truth isn't a feeling. It's documentation. Another silence. Then you are no longer part of this family. Something in my chest loosened. Relief, grief, freedom. I haven't been part of this family for years, I stated quietly. You made sure of that. I disconnected. The phone rang again immediately. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Ms. Whitford, this is Marcus Chen from TechCrunch. Do you have a moment? A journalist? Of course. I'm aware of the article you published, I stated carefully. We've seen a statement from Whitford Enterprises. They're denying your allegations. They claim you're disgruntled and seeking attention. Would you like to respond? I walked to my window, looked out at the fireworks still bursting over Brookline. Strangers celebrating while my family imploded 2 hours south. I stand by everything in the Fortune article, I stated. I have documentation that any independent party can verify. Patent filings from March 2022. Email chains showing the timeline of events. Expert testimony from Dr. Vivian Shaw at Caltech. Legal analysis from Intellectual Property Counsel. If Whitford Enterprises wants to dispute the facts, they're welcome to try. Your brother claims the similarities between his presentations and your patent are coincidental. How do you respond? My patent was filed 4 months before his initial investor presentation. The framework, terminology, and architecture are identical. Coincidence doesn't explain that. Copying does. There's speculation that this revelation will affect Whitford Enterprises' funding and partnerships. Any comment? I paused, thought about the employees there, people who had nothing to do with Gideon's decisions. My goal wasn't to harm the company, it was to protect my work. But actions have consequences. If investors choose to depart because of ethical concerns, that's their right. One more question. Do you regret going public? No, I stated. I regret that it was necessary. I disconnected and opened Twitter. Synapse Arc was trending. Number 3, nationally. Comments poured in. This is why women in tech need to document everything. Her brother really thought he could steal her work and get away with it. Whitford Enterprises is finished. No one wants to work with intellectual property thieves. But also, she destroyed her family for money. That's disgusting. And family issues should stay private. This is just vindictive. I closed the app. Let them think what they wanted. The truth was out. That was sufficient. I didn't sleep. At 6 a.m., on January 1st, 2025, I gave up trying. I made coffee, opened my laptop, and stared at the avalanche. 247 missed calls, 512 emails, thousands of Twitter notifications. I started reading. From Dr. Shaw. Ilara, you were so brave. I'm proud of you. Contact me when you're ready. From Bennett Cole. Whitford Enterprises attorneys contacted me at 2 a.m. They're threatening to sue for defamation and confidentiality agreement violation. I've already sent them our legal analysis. They have no case. You're completely protected. From one of my co-founders. Holy hell, Ilara. CNBC wants to interview us. Bloomberg, too. What do we say? From the Caltech Alumni Association. We'd like to feature you in our next newsletter as an example of protecting intellectual property and standing up for yourself. But there were others, too. A distant cousin. How could you do this to your family? Do you have any idea what you've done to your mother? An old family friend. I've known the Whitfords for 30 years. They're good people. You're destroying their reputation for attention. Someone I didn't even know. You're a disgrace. Family is supposed to come first. I read them all. Let them wash over me. Then I opened the positive ones again. From a woman I'd never met. I'm a software engineer. My former boss took credit for my code for 2 years. I stayed silent because I was scared. Reading your story gave me the courage to file a formal complaint. Thank you. From another. I've been hiding my startup from my family because they don't think it's real work. After reading about you, I'm launching publicly next week. You gave me permission. From another. My father told me I'd never be as successful as my brother. I'm sending him the Fortune article. I sat back, overwhelmed, exhausted. But for the first time in years, perhaps in my entire life, I felt seen. Not by my family, by the thousands of people who understood exactly what I'd been through. I wasn't alone anymore. By 10 a.m., Gideon held a press conference. I watched it live on YouTube, my laptop propped on my kitchen counter, coffee going cold in my hand. He stood at a podium in the Whitford Enterprises conference room, the same room where he'd presented my ideas as his own. Behind him, the company logo, cameras flashing, journalists packed into the space. He looked terrible. Rumpled suit, no tie, eyes red-rimmed. Thank you all for coming, he started, voice rough. I want to address the allegations made by my sister, Alara Whitford, in this morning's Fortune article. He cleared his throat, read from prepared notes. My sister is going through a very difficult time. We love her. We've always supported her. But her allegations are baseless and hurtful. Whitford Enterprises has always respected intellectual property law. We've never stolen anyone's work. A journalist raised her hand. Can you explain the timeline discrepancy? Her patent was filed in March 2022. Your initial investor presentation using similar technology was in July 2022. How do you account for that? Gideon shifted. Many people work on similar ideas simultaneously. The tech industry it's collaborative. Ideas overlap. But the Fortune article includes emails where you specifically wrote, "We need the full algorithm." How is that an overlap? Those emails are taken out of context. What context makes "we need your algorithm" mean something other than a request for her proprietary work? Gideon's face flushed. I was trying to collaborate with my sister to bring her into the family business. She's interpreting it as, she also published a recording of a June 2024 meeting where you threatened legal action if she continued her independent work. Can you comment on that? That recording was made without my knowledge. Massachusetts is a one-party consent jurisdiction. The recording is legal. What about the content? Did you threaten her? Gideon gripped the podium. This press conference is over. He walked out. The cameras kept rolling. Within 2 hours, the clip was viral. Reddit, Twitter, TikTok. CEO melts down when questioned about intellectual property theft. Watch this tech executive try to explain away evidence. My phone buzzed. Text from Dr. Shaw. He buried himself. You didn't even have to be present. She was correct. I didn't need to destroy him. He did it himself the moment he lied on camera. By 4 p.m., Whitford Enterprises issued a statement. I read it on my phone, sitting on my couch, still in the same clothes I'd worn last night. The board of directors of Whitford Enterprises has voted to suspend CEO Gideon Whitford pending an independent investigation into recent allegations regarding intellectual property practices. The board takes these matters seriously and is committed to upholding the highest ethical standards. An outside firm has been retained to conduct a thorough review. The statement was signed by the board chair. Not my father, not my mother. Someone independent. I sat back, let it sink in. Gideon was suspended. Not fired. Not yet. But removed from power. My phone buzzed. An email from someone I didn't know. A board member I'd never met. Miss Whitford, on behalf of the board, I want to express our regret for any harm caused to you by the actions of Whitford Enterprises leadership. We are committed to a transparent investigation and will act according to its findings. If you are willing, We would appreciate the opportunity to meet with you and your legal counsel to understand the full scope of what occurred. I forwarded it to Bennett Cole. He called 5 minutes later. This is good, Alara. This means they're taking it seriously. They're protecting the company from liability by distancing themselves from Gideon. What happens now? They investigate, interview witnesses, review documents, assess whether Gideon violated company policy or fiduciary duties. If they determine he acted improperly, which seems likely given the evidence, they'll have grounds to terminate him. And if they don't, then investors will do it for them. I'm seeing reports that major stakeholders are already calling for his removal. The board knows if they don't act, the company's reputation is finished. I disconnected and opened Twitter again. A business reporter had posted, "Sources tell me 2 major investors in Whitford Enterprises have already pulled their backing. More expected to follow. Gideon Whitford's career may be over." I didn't feel triumphant. I felt empty, as though I'd won something I never wanted to fight for in the first place. January 2nd morning. My father called. I stared at his name on my screen for 3 rings before I answered. Alara. His voice sounded old, tired. "Can we talk?" "We're talking. I mean, really talk. Not like this." He took a shaky breath. "I owe you an apology." I didn't say anything. Waited. "I knew," he stated finally. "I knew something wasn't right with Gideon's presentations. I knew the technology wasn't his. I suspected it was yours. And I said nothing. Why? Because I'm a coward." His voice cracked. "Because your mother was so proud of Gideon. Because the company was struggling and I thought if we just got through this quarter, if we just closed this funding round, everything would work out. I told myself you'd understand, that you'd be okay. I wasn't okay, Father. I know. God, Alara, I know. I let you be erased. I let them push you out. I let your mother disinvite you from Christmas and New Year's. And..." He broke off. When he spoke again, he was crying. "You're my daughter. I should have protected you. I should have stood up for you. I was weak, and I failed you, and I'm so sorry." I closed my eyes, felt tears on my own face. "An apology doesn't undo it," I stated quietly. "It doesn't give me back the years I spent thinking I wasn't good enough, that I was the problem. I know it doesn't, but I needed you to hear it. I'm proud of you, Alara. I've always been proud of you. I didn't know how to say it. I didn't know how to go against your mother, against Gideon, against everyone, except me." Silence. Then, "Yes, I don't know if I can forgive you yet," I stated, "but I'm glad you called. That's more than I deserve," he stated. "If you ever want to talk, really talk, I'm here. I'll do better, I promise. I'll believe it when I see it, Father." Fair enough. We disconnected. I sat on my couch and cried. Not because I was sad, because something I'd been carrying for years had finally, slightly, loosened. January 3rd. A LinkedIn message from someone I'd never met. "Miss Whitford, my name is Marcus Wellington. I'm a partner at Riverstone Capital. In 2023, your brother Gideon Whitford approached our firm with a pitch for what he called an exclusive AI diagnostic tool developed in-house at Whitford Enterprises. We passed on the investment because the technology didn't align with their core competency. After reading the Fortune article, I realized, I think it was your algorithm. He'd attached a PDF. This is the pitch deck Gideon sent us. I thought you should see it." I opened it. Whitford Enterprises logo on the cover. Revolutionary AI-driven diagnostics early disease detection platform dated August 2023. I scrolled through. Slide 3. Core technology framework. It was my algorithm. Not similar. Not inspired by. Identical. The neural network architecture I'd spent 2 years developing. The data processing pipeline I'd designed. Even the specific terminology threaded analysis nodes, a phrase I'd coined in my thesis. He'd copied it wholesale and tried to sell it. My hands shook as I forwarded the email to Bennett Cole. He called immediately. "This is significant, Alara. This isn't just attempted theft for company use. He was trying to profit from your intellectual property. That's fraud. What do I do with it? Do you want to press charges?" I thought about it. About Gideon already suspended, already facing professional ruin. About criminal charges, trials, publicity. No, I stated, but I want Fortune to have it. I want it public. I want everyone to see exactly what he did. I'll send it to them. The article went live that afternoon. New evidence suggests Gideon Whitford attempted to sell sister's intellectual property to outside investors. The pitch deck was embedded in the article. Side-by-side comparisons with my patent filing. Expert analysis from intellectual property attorneys. The comments section exploded. This isn't a family dispute. This is theft. He didn't just try to claim her work. He tried to sell it. How is he not incarcerated? I closed my laptop. I didn't need to read more. The truth was doing the work I couldn't. January 4th. The fallout reached critical mass. Hartford Medical Center cancels $15 million contract with Whitford Enterprises amid ethics scandal. I read the headline 3 times. The statement from Hartford Medical was clinical, professional. In light of recent allegations regarding intellectual property practices at Whitford Enterprises, Hartford Medical Center has elected to terminate our partnership effective immediately. We cannot in good conscience work with a company under investigation for ethical violations. We remain committed to partnerships built on integrity and trust. $15 million gone. I scrolled through the business news. Whitford Enterprises stock, they'd gone public 5 years ago, had dropped 28% in 3 days. Analysts were calling it a catastrophic loss of investor confidence. Employees were posting on Glassdoor. Everyone's terrified. We don't know if the company will survive this. An email landed in my inbox. From someone with a Whitford Enterprises email address. Subject line, please. Miss Whitford, I'm a project manager at WE. I've worked here for 8 years. I have 2 children. I'm scared I'm going to lose my job because of what your brother did. I know you have every right to be angry, but a lot of us had nothing to do with this. We're just trying to make a living. Please, if there's anything you can do to help the company survive this, please consider it. I stared at the email for 20 minutes. These people, engineers, administrators, salespeople, they hadn't stolen from me. They hadn't erased me. They were collateral damage in a war they didn't start. I felt sick. I called Bennett. The company is hemorrhaging. Employees are terrified. What do I do? Alara, you didn't cause this. Gideon did, but you told the truth. If the truth destroys something, that something was already broken. You're not responsible for fixing it. I wanted to believe him. But late that night, alone in my apartment, I couldn't stop thinking about those employees, about their families, about the damage spreading far beyond the people who deserved it. I didn't want innocent people to suffer, but I also couldn't let guilt silence me again. January 5th, an email from my mother. Alara, we need to meet face to face. Please. I didn't want to, but something, perhaps curiosity, perhaps a sliver of hope made me agree. We met at Thinking Cup, a coffee shop in downtown Boston. Public, neutral, safe. She arrived in a black designer coat, sunglasses even though it was overcast, heels clicking on the tile floor. She looked thinner, older. She sat across from me, ordered nothing. Alara. She removed her sunglasses. Her eyes were red-rimmed. I'll admit that Gideon made mistakes. Poor judgment. But what you've done is destroying the family business. Employees are losing their jobs. Your father he's not well. The stress. Mother, why am I here? She leaned forward. What do you want? Money? A position at Synapse Arc for Gideon? A seat on the Whitford Enterprises board? Name your price, and let's end this. I stared at her. You think I did this for money? Then what? Revenge? Attention? You've made your point, Alara. You've shown everyone you're successful. Now let's move forward. Move forward. I laughed, empty. You want me to issue a retraction? A clarification. Say that the situation was more complicated than the article suggested, that family dynamics were misunderstood, that you and Gideon have reconciled. We haven't reconciled. Then pretend. Her voice hardened. Do you understand what you're doing to us? To your father's legacy? To you. I met her eyes. You're worried about your reputation, about what your friends at the country club are saying. Don't be childish. I'm not being childish. I'm being clear. I will not retract the truth. I will not pretend this didn't happen. I will not disappear to make you comfortable. Then you're willing to destroy us. No, Mother. I'm willing to protect myself. If that destroys you, perhaps you should ask why protecting me was never a priority. She stood, put her sunglasses back on. You'll regret this. I already regret it, I stated quietly. I regret that it was necessary. She walked out without another word. I sat alone, coffee untouched, and felt something settle in my chest. I wasn't going to save them. They had to save themselves. January 6th, an email that changed everything. Dear Ms. Whitford, on behalf of the Women in Tech Summit, we would like to invite you to be our keynote speaker at our annual gala on February 15th, 2025 in Boston. Your story, standing up for your intellectual property, refusing to be silenced, building a billion-dollar company against extraordinary personal obstacles, is exactly what our community needs to hear. We have over 1,200 attendees registered, including students, professionals, and industry leaders. We would be honored if you would share your experience. I read it twice, then called Dr. Shaw. They want me to speak at a gala in front of 200 people. That's wonderful, Ilara. I don't want to be defined by family drama. I don't want to be the woman whose brother stole her work. I want to be known for my algorithm, for my company, for... Ilara. Her voice was gentle. You're not defined by drama. You're defined by what you built, and by refusing to let anyone take it from you. That's the story. But how many women do you think are sitting on their work right now because they're scared? Because their family told them it doesn't matter? Because they don't want to make people uncomfortable? She paused. You're not just telling your story. You're giving them permission to tell theirs. I thought about the emails I'd received, hundreds of them, women who stated I gave them courage. Okay, I stated. I'll do it. I started writing the speech that night. Not about revenge. Not about family dysfunction. About boundaries. About documentation. About the difference between keeping the peace and protecting your integrity. About what it costs to disappear and what it takes to refuse. I wrote until 3 a.m., deleting and rewriting, trying to find words that were honest without being bitter. By the time I finished, I had a draft. Not perfect, but true. And truth, I was learning, was the only thing that mattered. January 10th. A text from Gideon. Ilara, can we talk? Not as CEO and founder, as brother and sister. I stared at the message for 2 days. On January 12th, I called him back. Ilara. He sounded exhausted. Thank you for... I didn't think you'd call. What do you want, Gideon? I wanted to say... He took a shaky breath. I'm sorry. I didn't realize how much I hurt you. I was so focused on saving the company, on proving I could lead it, that I didn't think about what I was taking from you. You didn't realize or you didn't care? Long silence. Both, perhaps. I don't know. I thought I was helping, bringing you into the family business, making your work part of something bigger. It was already part of something bigger. My company. My vision. You tried to erase that. I know. His voice cracked. And I don't know how to fix it. You can't fix it with one conversation, I stated. But if you want to start, really start, you can issue a public statement. Acknowledge what you did. Not because lawyers told you to, not because the board demanded it, because it's the truth. If I do that, the board will fire me permanently. Then you have a choice to make. Ilara, please. You told investors my work was yours. You tried to sell my algorithm to outside firms. You threatened me when I declined to surrender it. Those aren't misunderstandings, Gideon. Those are choices. And if you want any chance at redemption, you need to own them. You're asking me to end my career. I'm asking you to tell the truth. What you do with that is up to you. He was quiet for a long time. Then, I need to think. Take your time, I stated. I'm not going anywhere. We disconnected. I didn't know if he'd do it, didn't know if he even could. But I'd provided him the roadmap. Whether he took it wasn't my responsibility anymore. January 15th. Gideon posted a statement on LinkedIn and Twitter. I saw it at 9 a.m., sitting in a coffee shop in Brookline trying to work on Q1 projections for Synapse Arc. I owe my sister Ilara Whitford a public apology. Over the past 3 years, I attempted to claim credit for work that was entirely hers. I presented her algorithm to investors as if it had been developed by Whitford Enterprises. I pressured her to surrender her intellectual property. When she declined, I threatened legal action. I was wrong. Ilara developed Synapse Arc's core technology independently, filed patents in her own name, and built a company from the ground up. While I tried to take it from her, I violated her trust. I damaged her professionally and personally, and I justified it by telling myself I was protecting the family business. That was a lie. I was protecting my ego. I am stepping down from all roles at Whitford Enterprises to allow for an independent investigation. I hope in time to earn back trust, not through words, but through actions. But first, I needed to say this. Ilara, I'm sorry. You deserved better. You deserved support, recognition, and respect. Instead, I gave you betrayal. I hope you can forgive me someday, but I understand if you can't. I read it 3 times. The comments flooded in. This took courage. Respect. Too little. Too late. He only apologized because he got caught. Apologies don't undo theft. At least he admitted it. Most people never do. I didn't know what I felt. Not vindication exactly. Not satisfaction. Relief, perhaps, that he'd finally told the truth, but also emptiness. Because an apology couldn't give me back the years I'd spent believing I was the problem. I called Dr. Shaw. He apologized, I stated. Publicly. How do you feel? I don't know. It doesn't fix anything, but it's the first time he acknowledged your reality, she stated gently. And that matters. Yeah, I stated. It does. January 20th. Whitford Enterprises issued another statement. The board of directors announces that Richard Whitford, company founder, will return as interim CEO while the organization undergoes comprehensive restructuring. Gideon Whitford has resigned from all positions effective immediately. Whitford Enterprises is committed to restoring trust through transparency, ethical leadership, and a thorough review of our intellectual property practices. We have retained an independent consulting firm to audit our processes and implement stronger safeguards. We recognize that recent events have damaged our reputation and relationships. We take full responsibility and are committed to meaningful change. It was signed by my father. He called me that afternoon. Ilara, I wanted you to hear this from me. I'm back. Temporarily, just until we stabilize. Are you okay, Father? This is a lot of stress for you. I'm fine. And I owe this to the company, to the employees, to... He paused. To you. I let things fall apart. I'm going to fix them. What's the plan? Full ethics review. New policies on intellectual property, on credit, on collaboration. Transparency reports. We're also bringing in a consultant to assess our culture. Make sure what happened to you doesn't happen to anyone else. That's good, I stated quietly. Ilara, I know I can't undo what happened, but I'm trying. Really trying. I know, Father. Would you... He hesitated. Would you consider consulting for us? Not on technology. On policy. On how to build a culture where people like you, brilliant, innovative people, feel valued instead of erased. I thought about it. About walking back into that building. About helping the company that had tried to erase me. Maybe, I stated. Someday. But not yet. That's fair. The door is open whenever you're ready. We disconnected. I didn't know if I'd ever be ready, but I appreciated that he asked and that he didn't pressure me when I stated no. February 15th, 2025. Boston Convention Center. I stood backstage at the Women in Tech Gala, listening to 1,200 people settle into their seats. The venue was massive. Stage with professional lighting, screens on either side showing the event logo, tables arranged in neat rows. Dr. Shaw found me in the green room. You ready? No. I smoothed my dress. Simple black sheath, Nothing flashy. What if I freeze? You won't. You're telling your story. That's all. The MC's voice echoed through the space. Please welcome our keynote speaker, Alara Whitford, founder and CEO of Synapse Arc Inc. Applause. I walked onto the stage. The lights were bright. I couldn't see faces, just silhouettes. 200 women watching me. I took a breath. Started. For most of my life, I was told I made people uncomfortable. I was too quiet, too focused, too different. I didn't fit the mold of what my family wanted. So I believed that the problem was me. Silence. They were listening. I spent years trying to shrink, trying to be less, trying to make my work smaller so other people wouldn't feel threatened by it. And when my family tried to erase my work entirely, I almost let them, because I was more afraid of conflict than I was of disappearing. I paused, looked out at the shapes in the darkness. But then I realized something. I wasn't uncomfortable. I was just surrounded by people who couldn't see my value. The applause started, scattered at first, then louder. When my family tried to take my work, I had two choices: stay silent to keep the peace, or speak up to keep my integrity. I chose integrity, not because I wanted to hurt anyone, but because I refused to disappear. The applause grew. Some people stood. To every woman here who's been told to shrink, to be quieter, to take up less space, your work matters. Your voice matters. And no one, not even family, has the right to take that from you. Standing ovation, the entire room on their feet. I looked out at them. Women who understood, who'd been there, who'd chosen themselves, even when it cost them everything. And I felt something I hadn't felt in years. I felt free. After the gala, I returned to my apartment and opened my laptop. The messages had started during the speech. By the time I got home, there were hundreds. Your story gave me the courage to report my boss for taking credit for my research. I filed a formal complaint today. Thank you. I've been hiding my startup from my family for 2 years because they don't think it's real work. I'm launching publicly next week. You gave me permission. My father told me I'd never be as successful as my brother. I'm sending him the Fortune article and your speech. I'm done shrinking. I left a toxic job because of you. I documented everything just like you stated. They tried to claim I breached my confidentiality agreement. My lawyer proved they were wrong. I'm free now. I'm 19. I just declared my major in computer science. My parents wanted me to do something practical. I'm doing this anyway because you showed me I could. I read every message. Every single one. Some made me cry. Some made me laugh. All of them made me realize I wasn't just telling my story. I was part of something bigger. A movement of women who refused to disappear. I responded to as many as I could. Document everything. Protect your work. Don't let anyone make you believe you're the problem. Set boundaries. It's not selfish. It's survival. Your voice matters. Use it. Late that night, Dr. Shaw texted, "You did good, Alara. Really good." I looked around my small apartment, no longer lonely, just mine, and typed back, "I think I finally believe that." March 2025. I moved to San Francisco. Not because I was running away, because I was running towards something. Synapse Arc's main office was in the Mission District. Bright, open space with whiteboards on every wall, and a team that actually valued collaboration over hierarchy. I wanted to be close to it, close to the work that had saved me. I found a small apartment near Dolores Park. 1 bedroom, bay windows, old hardwood floors. Nothing fancy, but mine. I spent a weekend unpacking, setting up my desk, laptop, monitor, the framed patent certificate Bennett Cole had given me, hanging photos, Dr. Shaw and me at my Caltech graduation, my co-founders at the IPO celebration, a candid shot from the Women in Tech Gala. No photos of my family. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But I didn't feel guilty about it. On Sunday evening, I called my father. "Father, I'm in San Francisco now. Moved this weekend." "San Francisco?" He sounded wistful. "That's far. It's where the company is." "I know. I was hoping you might come back to the East Coast eventually. Maybe someday, I stated. But not yet. Fair enough, Alara. If I want to visit, would that be okay? Not now. I know you need space, but someday. I thought about it. About my father. Flawed and passive, but trying. Call me first, I stated. Don't just show up. And Father, I need you to understand. If you come, it's because you want to know me, not because you're trying to fix the family. I want to know you, he stated quietly. I should have wanted that a long time ago. Yeah, I stated. You should have. I'll call before I visit. I promise. We disconnected. I stood at my window looking out at the park, the city lights, the life I was building from scratch. And for the first time in my life, I felt like I belonged to myself. June 2025. Synapse Arc announced a partnership that changed everything. We held a press conference at our San Francisco office. Small, intimate, just our team and a handful of journalists. I stood at the front with my co-founders, our CTO pulling up the presentation on the screen behind us. Today, Synapse Arc, Inc. is proud to announce a partnership with Stanford Medical Center. We've signed a $50 million contract to implement our AI diagnostic platform across their medical network. This technology will improve early detection for pancreatic cancer, lung disease, and neurological conditions, diseases that often go undiagnosed until it's too late. The journalists started typing. Cameras flashed. One raised her hand. Ms. Whitford, this is a major milestone. How does it feel to see your work finally recognized at this scale? I thought about that question. About the 3 years I'd spent protecting this algorithm. About the family that tried to take it. About the night I sat alone in my apartment while they celebrated without me. It feels like justice, I stated. Not revenge, justice. Another journalist. Your company's valuation has nearly doubled since the IPO. You're now worth an estimated $4 billion. Does that vindicate your decision to go public with your family story? I didn't go public for vindication, I stated. I went public because staying silent was costing me my integrity. The success, the money, the partnerships, all of it. That's not why I did it, but it does prove something. What's that? That the people who told me my work didn't matter were wrong. That I was right to protect it. That I was right to believe in it even when no one else did. After the press conference, my co-founders opened champagne in the office. To Alara, one of them stated, raising a glass, who refused to disappear. We clinked glasses. I looked around at the team, people who saw my work, who valued my voice, who never once made me feel like I was too much or not enough. This, I thought, this is what I was fighting for. December 31st, 2025, New Year's Eve. 1 year since the night that changed everything. I was in my San Francisco apartment, but I wasn't alone. My team had come over, 10 of us, crowded into my small living room, passing around plates of takeout and arguing about the best sci-fi films. At 11:30, my phone buzzed. Dr. Shaw, video calling from Boston. I stepped into my bedroom. Answered. Alara. She was smiling, warm apartment behind her. How are you? Good. Really good. I'm so proud of you. This year. Everything you've accomplished. I couldn't have done it without you. Yes, you could have, but I'm glad I got to be part of it. She paused. Have you heard from your family? My father texted earlier. Happy New Year, sweetheart. I love you. He's visiting in February. We're having dinner. Just the two of us. And Gideon? Nothing. I don't expect to. And your mother? Nothing. I looked out the window at the city lights. I don't think she'll ever reach out. And I'm okay with that. Are you really? Yeah. I spent my whole life waiting for her approval. I don't need it anymore. We said our goodbyes. I returned to the living room just as the countdown started on TV. 10, 9, 8. My team joined in, shouting and laughing. 3, 2, 1. Fireworks erupted outside. Someone popped another bottle of champagne. I stood at my window, glass in hand, and thought about last year. About sitting alone in Brookline watching strangers celebrate, feeling invisible. I wasn't invisible anymore. I opened my laptop, pulled up a blank document, and started typing. 1 year ago, I was alone on New Year's Eve. Tonight, I'm surrounded by people who see me. Not the version they want, but the version I am. Healing didn't mean reconciliation. It meant accepting that I deserved better and building a life that reflected that. I posted it to LinkedIn. Within minutes, comments poured in. Thank you for showing us what boundaries look like. You changed my life this year. I'm not alone anymore because of you. I smiled, closed the laptop, rejoined my team. This was my family now, the one I chose. So if you've made it this far, thank you for listening. A lot of people have asked me, do you regret it? Was it worth losing your family? Here's the truth. I didn't lose my family. They lost me when they chose reputation over relationship. When they decided my work didn't matter. When they tried to erase me rather than celebrate me. And yes, it was worth it. Because the alternative was disappearing. I spent 29 years trying to fit into a frame that was never built for me. Trying to be quieter, smaller, less. Trying to make other people comfortable at the cost of my own existence. I'm done with that. You don't owe anyone, not even family, the right to erase you. If you're sitting on work that you're afraid to claim, document it, protect it, file the patents, save the emails, record the meetings, build a paper trail that speaks for itself. If you're being told you're too much or not enough, find people who see you. They're out there. I promise. And if you have to choose between keeping the peace and keeping your integrity, choose integrity every single time. Because your voice matters. Your work matters. And you deserve to exist fully, loudly, unapologetically. This is my story. What's yours? If this story meant something to you, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Check the description below for resources on intellectual property protection, setting boundaries with family, and finding support when you need it most. And if you have a story you want to share about standing up, speaking out, refusing to shrink, leave it in the comments. I read everyone. Thank you for being here. See you in the next one.